All right, well, I'm back. It's a Friday evening, and instead of being camped out on the couch with a big old frosty glass of beer or a glass of wine or something, no, I'm hanging out here in the engine compartment of the Jeep. Still pretty open up in here. I'm standing up in here, and I'm looking around at where we're at, and we're a little bit up against the wall on some of the stuff we were working on last time. So last time you saw me doing a lot of the wiring harness stuff. Fuel line delivery. I ordered those connectors to finish off my fuel lines, and I don't have those yet, so I can't do much more on the fuel line stuff. And I was waiting on I ordered a new brake booster and master cylinder, and I wanted to get those in anyway to make sure how much room I have over here. So that part has kind of come screeching to a halt anyway. What I'd like to work on this week then, while I'm waiting, is ignition. So we've got electrical, we got fuel, now we're working on ignition. And in order to get ignition laid out, what we're gonna do is we first of all have to get our distributor placed. Now what that entails is we have to take cylinder number 1 over here and get it to, I believe the manual said, 12 degrees before top dead center. I'll double check that, it might be 10 degrees, but we have to somehow figure out how to get cylinder 1 on a compression stroke at roughly 12 degrees before top dead center. And then once we're there on this distributor, there's a 1 marked here on this spark plug wire point right here. So this will be lined up so that our arm in there is pointed at that when the cylinder is at that spot. Does that make sense? So it will when I show it to you, for sure. And then once that's there, then we can kind of lock the distributor in place and know that we're roughly lined up with timing. And then what we'll do is we'll place all of our spark plug wires at that point. We'll put the spark plugs back in, we'll place the wires, and then we'll start to figure out, I'm sure we're gonna need some kind of spark plug wire management here to try to get the wires coming in a nice orderly manner up here to the distributor. So a lot to do, and some of it I'm not really sure I know how I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna go do a little studying, and I'm gonna double check the manual and make sure it is 12 degrees I'm shooting for here. I'm going to see about getting my vibration dampener on the crankshaft enough to at least rotate the thing around and start backing up spark plug wires, and then we'll see how that goes. So don't go anywhere, this ought to be interesting, but we're totally switching gears. We're leaving electrical for now, we're leaving fuel, we're changing our attention to ignition. Okay, before I started spinning the motor around, I wanted to get some oil in there. So I decided it was time to go resurrect the old intake manifold and get that oil filler tube out of there. After much messing around and tapping the thing out with a punch, what I determined was it was the exact same size as the new one, and I just had to take the Dremel and kind of bob a little bit of the new one off on the bottom and then just kind of drive it down in the hole there. So turns out I was kind of worried about that thing for no good reason, but I did wind up getting the new one in place, and we're ready to get some oil in this thing now before we start rotating the crank. All right, well, have you ever had that feeling of the inevitable? Like you're thinking, I'm probably gonna have to do that one thing I don't really want to do, but I can't figure out any way around it. I have rotated this cylinder around, and if we look in there, you can see the top of the piston in that spark plug hole right there. And that's roughly top dead center on cylinder 1, and every revolution of the crankshaft obviously takes us to top dead center. What I don't know is, are my valves closed or open in here? So what I think I need to do is, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to pull this valve cover off, rotate the thing, and watch my valves open and close. And so what should happen is we should see our intake valve open. As we go down, we draw the fuel in, then our intake valve should close and we should come up, and that's the stroke that we want for top dead center, because that's when we want to fire the spark plug, is right at the top of that compression stroke. And then the next stroke will shove the piston down, obviously. The exhaust valve will open, comes back around, pushes exhaust out, they switch, the exhaust valve closes, intake opens, yada yada. You know how an engine works, right? So, unfortunately, I don't really see anything for it except to take this valve cover off so I can see what's going on. I'm gonna go quickly look on the internet and see if there's some way to figure it out without doing that, but I just can't imagine what it could be. So, I'll be right back. Well, I decided that the easiest thing to take off would be the header over here. And by doing that, I can watch the exhaust valve. I'll show you here. So inside of there, let's see if we can get some light in there so you can see it. I can see it anyway. Maybe you're not going to be able to. Anyway, inside of there is our exhaust valve, and I should be able to watch that and see when it's open and when it's closed, and that will tell me whether I'm on my compression stroke or my exhaust stroke. So I think that was the lesser of the two evils there. So I've got that header out of the way. Now, just because you like to always catch me messing up, let's make sure that I don't bolt that header back on and leave my steering column down underneath it here, because it has to go up on top of it. So I'll be trying to keep paying attention to that. We'll see, odds are 50-50 that I'll remember to put that up above the header when I put that back on, and 50-50 that I won't. All right, as it turns out, not every aspect of doing a Jeep project like this is a one-man job. So I have been trying to stand in front of the Jeep with my bar and turn the crankshaft, and then also be over here on the side of the Jeep looking in the exhaust portal, and it's just not working. So I have called up one of my offspring. They will be over here shortly, and Gray will help me check this thing out. I will teach them how to watch an exhaust valve and see when it opens. I might have to do that whole explanation of compression stroke, exhaust stroke, but we already know I'm up to that challenge, so I'll check back shortly and we'll see if we can get this continuing on. But for right now, it might be time to go have a cup of coffee or something. Okay, well there you saw me get the header back on, and I did remember to put my steering column up above it. So spark plugs are back in. You torque those to 27 pounds. So I did that with my 3/8 inch torque wrench. And now I'm ready to start laying out spark plug wires. So what we've got with the AMC V8 is on the driver's side, we've got cylinder 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then over here on the passenger side, we've got 2, 4, 6, and 8. So odd numbers starting at the front, down the driver's side, 1, 3, 5, 7. Even numbers on the passenger side going back. And then the firing order is, and I looked this up so you don't have to, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. So as we go around here, we go cylinder 1, cylinder 8, cylinder 4, cylinder 3, cylinder 6, cylinder 5, cylinder 7, cylinder 2, because our distributor goes clockwise. So again, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. With these MSD wires, I did get a little wire number identifying little clip that you can put on the wire. So I'm going to do those now, and we're going to lay out some spark plug wires here. It's important to pass our intelligence on to the younger generation. So I've got Gray over here helping me, and I was trying to put these little numbers on the wires here. And I was fiddling around and trying to spread the opening enough to get it on there, and I was just not having it. So I walked over here and I said, how about you give it a spin? And they said, wouldn't I just use that tool that came with the numbers? And I'm like, what tool? Oh, for heaven's sake. The little thing that the numbers were on is the tool for sliding the number onto the wire. I did not know that. So
neither did I. I just sort of saw it and went, I'm guessing that's what that's for.
Probably what that tool is for. And I looked at that tool and went, oh, look, they gave me this little orange thing so I don't lose all my numbers around the garage floor here. All right, carrying on. All right, well, quick update here. I did get all of the wires strung for the spark plugs and the cap holding them on the top. Obviously, I am going to need to get some wire management there. And I got started on trying to route my wiring harness coil wires, and I don't have any connectors here to put on those wires. So I got to get some of those. So while we're kind of stopped, I thought it might be a good idea to clean up a little bit, because I spent 15 minutes this morning looking for my gloves and a wrench and whatnot. So every now and then you just got to clean this garage and get this mess under control. But there's fewer and fewer parts to put on the pile of the Jeep here. I used to have 2 fenders I was trying to hide underneath. Now I only got 1 because one's on there. So I think for right this minute we're done, and we'll be back when we get some more parts.